Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. I've been invited here a number of times now, and it really, I think, is so critical and so important on a number of different levels. But I just feel like one of the keys, certainly, to a successful high school, a successful school district, is the partnership with the community, and of course the town council, your police force, your firefighters, the parents, the entire community. So I just feel like I've learned a lot with each presentation, and they get on Mendham TV, and I get a lot of questions and emails, and it's just very, very critical to keep engaging in such a dialogue. So thank you for inviting me. Before I have up here progress and transformation report. Before I get to some numbers and really a lot of effort in creating a vision for our children, I want to talk about something that's a lot more important than SATs and college attendance and all those other variables, which I'll show in a minute, and that's safety and security. It's an important topic, of course. And I live in town. I grew up in Mendham Township, moved out for a short while, and moved back to Mendham Township. I have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. And we always talk about, it'll all work out, the college and the grades, and everything will work out. Most critical thing for us is that they're healthy and strong, and what we mean by strong, emotionally strong and energized. And so when our students leave the high school, well, we want them empowered. We want them really ready to take on the world. And that's first start at the most basic levels with safety and security. So as many of you know, we had a security issue, we had a security concern that started last night for me about 8 o'clock when I received an email from one of our teachers who said, there might be something here, you need to look into it. And I reached out to our police force and Mendham Borough, very appropriate timing here actually, Mendham Borough Police, and they have been watching it and investigating it and doing a threat assessment and working with the prosecutor's office. And they assured us that there was no threat to the high school. There was not a credible threat. They conducted very thorough threat assessment. And we watched. And what we were most concerned at that point is really monitoring what's the anxiety level in the town. And unfortunately, I was looking at my email, and the principal's looking at his email, and the kids were on Facebook. And from there, so 6 o'clock in the morning, I had one email, and then 7:15 to 8:15, it really exploded on Facebook, and great concern. And then we tried to address as best we could. So these are good things for us to talk about, and we'll certainly be talking about the board level. And we live in this era, and we'll look at any threat assessment, perceived, real, whatever the conditions, maybe we need to communicate that out. But we'll certainly be looking for input. I encourage everybody to give me a call, show up at the board meeting, and we can have those conversations. Which leads me to the rest of the presentation, which is it's that partnership with the community that is just critical. We can go so far, but the stronger the partnership is with the community and all the communities, the better and farther we can go, and the better arrangement for all of our children. And that's what I talk about here, is that, and I'm going to go through some of this pretty fast, some of the data, and it's on the website, and it's really the whole report. There's about 120 slides. You'll be glad I cut that down quite significantly, but you can go on the website and look at it with a little more detail and thought. But I want to give an update, and there's a lot of detail into where we're going. I know not anybody can see that. You can look at it on our website. We set very specific goals and targets about how we want to move forward. There's learning there in terms of content knowledge. There's instruction. There's all sorts of things. College tests, but also social, emotional development, safety and security. These are things we're looking at the whole picture, very specific targets. So let's just look at some of the data. What does it tell us? What kind of evidence do we see? Well, just going by the state HESPA, the state exam, which is the HESPA, going to be replaced by the Common Core next year. Just by going by that, the number of advanced proficiency, those students who are scoring advanced proficient in reading, writing, and math, Mendham was number 10 2 years ago in the state, around 350 schools. This past year, those numbers all went up. I'll show you that shortly. So that's the state test. We feel like there's some value in that test. Everybody in the whole state takes it in the exact same way. So there's value with that. Number 10. And you can see over the 6 years in both math, reading, and writing, Mendham's ascending and on an upward trend. In fact, just by the pure numbers, the data, no high school in New Jersey has improved in much in that same 6-year span on the HESPA. There's only one high school that comes close. That's Central High School. That's the only one that comes close to us. There's one or two others. But from here to here, in reading and writing, not math, but you can see with math it's pretty steady and a nice improvement. So we see that ascending on that metric. And so what we did, just so you know, we spent a lot of time with data. We broke down the success on every single academic level in our school, both Central and Mendham. And we want to see how well they were doing at each level, and then we set specific targets. You see from 2012 to 2013. Well, I know you can't see that maybe from your seat, but what I did was I highlighted where we went up in yellow, all right? And it doesn't look, it's kind of greenish there, but it's everything. It's everything. That's my fault, though. It's not the township's fault. We went up in everything, in both schools, every single level, reading, writing, and math, and we targeted writing at the middle level. And that was one of the things that I heard from this town council last year was, how about the rest of the kids, not just the kids at the top, but the kids in the middle. And we target that, and you see double-digit improvement in reading and writing, which is substantial. That's a substantial jump. And to tell you the truth, we were unsatisfied with that. We feel like we can go even higher. And even though it's very top in the state, Mendham High School is number 2 for 2 straight years, certainly within the top 5 in reading and writing, and math within the top 5%, continuing to go up. Okay, SATs. Well, the state, and again, this comes from the New Jersey Performance Report. This is not coming from me. The state determines a peer group based on the schools that are most like you in terms of poverty rates and things of that nature, some socioeconomic factors. So the 30 schools that are most like your school, and then that provides you with some comparison. And you can see Mendham, in each case, is above the peer group average, in each case. And 46 points is, that's pretty good, and above in the other. And these are some fantastic schools that are out there that we're being compared to. So we're proud of that. The state has a nice metric. I like this one much more than the composite SAT. It's the percentage of students scoring over 1550 on the SAT. And why I think that's important is our kids also take the ACT. And a lot, by the way, at Mendham High School, it pretty much more, and I can't speak for every single high school that's out there, but more kids take the ACT in our high school than almost any other school. And then we provide that opportunity to the students, because some students, and I would say the majority of our students, based on just the data, do better on the ACT than the SAT. And the ACT is most similar to what happens in the classroom. That being said, the SAT, this comes from the state report, the SAT, the percentage of students scoring over 1550, because we don't have as many kids taking the SAT like we used to. They're all taking it once, not all, but around 92%. But they're not taking it 2 or 3 or 4 times like they used to. But the percentage scoring over 1550, which is the metric that the College Board says, a 65% chance of getting a B- or better in college. That's the score that the state uses from the New Jersey Performance Report. We're above the peer group average. Number 1 in Morris County. Better than Chatham, better than Madison, better than Mountain Lakes, outside of Morris County, better than Burnsville, better than Ridge, better than a lot of schools. So it's pretty compelling evidence that there is some success happening, and we feel like we can do even better, but 11 out of about 350 schools in the state. But we're getting there. That being said, the SAT is not as important as it used to be. And that's something for people from my generation we've got to come to grips with a little bit. That college is really changing, and that's a whole nother conversation. But it's interesting dynamic right now. Well, how about AP? Well, just a few quick tidbits. Last year at Mendham High School, you can see some big jumps. Just 32% not improvement, 32% more AP tests were taken last year than the previous year. Now, 32% improvement in anything is great. 32% more money, 32% healthier, 32% anything. Not weight gain, but 32%, that's dramatic, and we've never seen that kind of improvement. In 1 year, we feel like that's going to go up another 20%. And it's just making it available and the right pathways, working pretty hard at this for our students to take advantage of that. More to come on that issue. The percentage of kids passing at least one AP or IB, Mendham High School 45%, our peer group average 42%. Even though it's above the peer group average, we really feel strongly that we can do much better in that category. And we've set a target of improving 10% a year over the next 3 years. But there's a key to this, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute. There's a key to this that's so critical for all of our children. And it's not just, okay, throw them all in there, nothing of the sort. It's a very important metric for me. Because in essence, we want to make sure that where a student's strength is, we're giving them opportunity. It's all about opportunity. Okay, just quickly about special education. This comes right from the state. They set targets for our special education population. And just so you see, those targets we all met. First time we've done that, by the way. We met those targets. You can see you have a special education population with 100% passing language arts. There's some good things there. I'm going to get back to special education in a second. College attendance. Well, Barron's has this guide where they talk about the most competitive, highly competitive, very competitive. And it's one metric. The most competitive are the people, the schools, I should say, where it's the most difficult to get into just by the numbers. But I think it's important to say this is not the all and end all. It's an important metric. It shows us something. But we have students who are getting in to some of these schools, and they're not going. They're going to another school because they've gotten freshman year credit, and they've got a $40,000 scholarship. That makes sense. All right, but this is not the all in all. That being said, we're doing pretty well. We're at Mendham, the most competitive. It's gone up 5 straight years, 26, 29, up to 30%. I still feel like that can go higher, and it will. I'm convinced of that with some of the things that we're doing. You see our IB diploma students, 71% getting into the most competitive college. So we feel like there's some really good things happening that, again, the trend is up. The trend is up. Compare that to 10 years ago, where this number, we got kids in the 80s and very highly in most, whereas 10 years ago it was in the 60s. So we've improved by the numbers. So to finish up, how about college? Well, this is all great, but how are they doing in college? And again, I just had a meeting today with a group of parents. They talked about, well, we really didn't appreciate IB. We really didn't appreciate it till our child got to college. And now they're really thriving. So it's not just about IB, but certainly that has set a standard that I feel like is really going to help us in the next couple of years. But just if you look at our peer group average, 74%. So entering sophomore year of college, how many of our graduates are still in college? That's what this means. 74% our peer group, Central and Mendham, right around the low 80s. And this is very impressive. Our special education population at Mendham High School, 77% still in college, 2 years, very close to the regular ed population. But look at the peer group average, 62%. Central and Mendham really, really pulling away there. Mm-hmm. Those kids were doing good things with that population. And then look at this. Princeton, New Providence, Millburn, 3 of the very best high schools in the state of New Jersey. Look at the special education population. Still in college 2 years later, 45%, 61%, 70%. This is right from the New Jersey Performance Report. Not my data, right from the New Jersey Performance Report. So outstanding, I feel like achievement. That's not to say we can't do better. Of course, we always can. But we're seeing good things. Okay. So it's a little bit of a dramatic slide, but I like that sometimes.
You're too bad you don't have the sound effects to go.
Yeah, I can do that, but maybe next time. Okay. Well, there's a lot of success there. I do feel like in some of these areas, even though there's success, we should be and will be doing better, especially here. But we're seeing a good pathway. We're seeing good things. Okay, so how do we get there? What is it? Just chance? We just have a good year? I like to think not. I like to think it's because we've done specific things. And this year, we redesigned curriculum in every single discipline. And well, that says, what does that mean? We redesign curriculum. It means that every single teacher is involved in redesigning what the students should be learning, what strategies they're using to assess and to teach. And we use a certain method, a digital platform, where this can be shared seamlessly with our teachers throughout the district and Mendham and Central, sharing what they do. We devoted over 25 hours last year in just professional development hours, focusing on what is it that we're teaching, how are we teaching it, is there success? So I got to believe we try to be really careful with not saying, well, this caused that. Why did scores go up here, and all this? But it's still hard for me to think, well, this did not have something to do with it. I got to believe that the fact that we spent such a relentless focus on instruction had something to do with it. More than the previous 15 years combined. So you take the previous 15 years of curriculum design, we did that in 1 year. And we did it well. And it's all available to the public to see exactly, not all of it, because some of that's private. We want the teachers, obviously, not to share their assessments with students, but you can see what they're learning. We execute it. We have a pretty good vision. I feel like we execute it. I'd like to think we're not hallucinating. And just to make sure, so what do we did some redesign of our district administrative team. And look, just a number of classroom observations from 2012, we redesigned last year, 335, more than doubled it. And in this year, we're en route for 765. In other words, we've redesigned the curriculum. Now we have people in the classrooms who are giving feedback on the implementation of that curriculum. So we went from 121 to 765 classroom observations to make sure that the quality of the dialogue is the highest possible dialogue that can take place in giving feedback to our teachers. All right. So here's the tricky part. Everything's changing. You know, what the purpose of high school is that we're launching kids, but we don't necessarily know where we're launching them like we used to. The world is changing quite dramatically. The jobs that are out there, the opportunities, it's a global, knowledge-based economy. That means colleges is changing. That means high schools have to change. And so it's very simple. How do we change? What have we done? It's nice to throw around statistics. Maybe that makes us feel comfortable. It's not enough. It's not enough for my child. And that means it's not enough for everybody else. So how are we preparing them? How are we going to change? Well, I'll do this quickly. You know, last year, I talked a lot about, we had a community tech forum. We brought in, again, former Mendham resident, Chester resident, and we had this tech forum and a community panel where we really just tried to jumpstart the community on this topic. We had, well, it sold out, and thanks to Mendham TV, it was shown live. 225 watched it live. We had another 250 watch it on our website online. It was showed on Mendham TV for a month. We had 850 responses from the community, student, faculty, and parents, over 50 pages of feedback. We had board committees, teacher committees, all sorts of committees to look at that, to identify objectives and initiatives, and then, of course, that's what we're moving forward. And again, it's all on our website. There's a lot there. That's a whole 2 or 3 hours, okay? But this is what we're working on presently. So what's the vision? Well, right now, we've introduced this digital, I'm going to go through this quickly, digital information specialist to help students and teachers provide more support. We're presently creating a student tech team. We're taking the library, turning into a digital learning center, 10,000 ebooks for the kids to access, improving our infrastructure, which is a constant, endeavor and sometimes struggle. I'll talk about these pathways in digital citizenship in a second, starting next year, responsible use policy. Kids are able to bring their own technology. I walk into the library now. Kids are going to their lockers, bringing their laptops, and they're getting after it in the library on their laptops. Not all of them, some of them. Some of them, they're doing all sorts of different things. We're providing that professional development. I'm sorry, I should have done that. Well, maybe I should have now. So we had an Innovate Ed Academy this summer. Over 150 teachers participated in it. We're providing that support for our teachers, for our students. We're trying to change the culture. But at the same time, it's not the end goal. The end goal is always learning. It's always the learning. But this is how kids operate. And this is how they're going to enter the world where this is part of every job. Last year, they had 3 apps they could use: Word, Excel, and PowerPoint in our district. Very advanced, right? So now we have over 50 apps that kids have available now. We have, we're a Gmail school, Google Apps school, and we continue. And if you're ever really interested in what's going on, look at that, go to the Mendham website, look at the student help and the tech bites and the videos and what they're working on and the Twitter feed. And just to give you an idea, last year we started Google Docs, a lot of kids, we have this, they really know Facebook and they really know Twitter. They really know how to text. But they don't really understand Google Drive and how to share and collaborate. So it's very interesting. Right now, it's just it's what I call a mirror target, where we had 20,000 Google Docs shared last year. We're over 40,000 just in this beginning of this year. So we're really moving, teaching the kids. We've offered a new culture, trying to create clubs, a Minecraft club and coding camps. Then I got this email from a mom. My son now has a place in high school. Thank you. Sometimes people say, why do you want to be superintendent? I get that question a lot. And some days I think that too, but it's a pretty simple answer. It's a very simple answer. Because of all the difficulties that you sometimes face, you have an opportunity to have an impact, and that's unique, and that's why I love it. So I just want to spend a little bit of time here and finish up. This college and career readiness we're excited about. But we're one of the first schools in the nation that's going to be offering, and I base that on a person who's traveling the country with a book talking about students existing in a digital world, offering a required class, where students not only learn how to save documents and where to store folders, but also digital citizenship and understand what you say online. Of course, we know this, right? Counts. And it's there forever. And the idea of the ethics behind how you operate online and the branding and the laws, but also how to innovate and collaborate with others in a digital platform, but also face-to-face. We have a student from Mendham High School who is accepted into Girls Who Code, the only student from New Jersey accepted in that program. One of the first things they do there is teach how to shake hands, make eye contact, and talk face-to-face before you go online. Good stuff. We're going to be modeling that here. That came out of our Community Tech Forum. We're very excited about offering to our middle achieving students these career pathways in areas where we see job growth right now. Biomedical and life sciences. We have a lot of students that want to be a nurse, physical therapist, occupational therapist, athletic trainer. These are hot jobs. We have kids who are not at the very top. They're in the middle, but that's what they want to do. Our philosophy is then, we're going to help them. We're going to provide for them the highest rigor in the area of their strength, and we're going to help them get there. John Rochelle, who spoke at our Community Tech Forum, said you have to fall in love with great ideas. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And we fall in love with it, and we're going to pursue it. So students in their area of strength, we're going to help them achieve the highest level. And that's true in engineering. And engineering, I know it's a big word. There's a lot of different, but that type of science mindset and problem solving, information technology, both computer science, as well as networking and systems and things of that nature. By the way, we went from 0 kids in computer science to 50 in 1 year. I expect that to double next year. All right, so we're moving. And business, of course. We have a lot of kids in the middle. They all end up as business majors. Now, it's not just the classes that they take, but it's the experiences along the way. And I'll talk about that in a second. But we're adding new classes: international business, coding, game design, using information technology, partnering with NJIT on this one, Google Apps, sports medicine we're offering this year as well. But these kids are not just taking classes. It's going to be internships, a senior reflective project where that gets sent out internationally to be evaluated, ethics training in the field where you're interested, community service, and partnerships with colleges. So our students, kids in the middle, will be doing this, if they choose, in a certain area, and they're going to be taking that to college. And so again, it all comes under this premise, launching these kids from here, strong and ready. And we feel like this is the way to go. So it's not just the kids at the top, but every kid. So right now it kind of looks like that. But we wanted to change and explore non-traditional pathways. You know, I had parents say to me the other day, you know, my child could have done high school in 3 years. Would have been better. Would have been better for him. And that's not the first time I've heard that. So it's just interesting. We want to offer flexibility to students and parents, and that's because kids are different. We have a lot of different kids. It's the one thing I'd really like to make sure that I hear from our community, our parents. It's not just one type of student at Mendham High School. We have a lot of different types of students, and we have a moral responsibility to make sure they are all getting that great education. So we're very committed to that. And so we've taken this vision, by the way, that we all laid out. And by the way, we're a finalist in a federal grant, taking the vision that we partnered with the community and created it with the community, put it towards the grant. We're the only school in New Jersey that's a finalist, and we're waiting, I hope. They got put on hold because the government shut down, so we'll see. And putting that out there, a company saw what we were doing and partnered with us, say, hey, we can provide some of those internships, we can provide some of that training, and by the way, we have this technology that we're using with ESPN that we'd like to share with you. And we have a classroom being built at Mendham and Central. It's going to look like this, and our kids will be able to communicate with kids in Shanghai and other places, which we're already working on. But also, we have students who are using this Mondo board that we have to do college interviews. So when we asked, well, have you done this with any other schools? And no, this is the first. So we're working. We're working at it. Okay. I never want to get, I really focus. I love the data. I think it's revealing. It's hard. It's hard to look at it really with an unbiased eye. But it's a habit, and we continue to work on it. We have these programs, but it really is about these kids understanding a substantive life, a valuable and dignified life, and we're trying on all fronts. I hope next year you invite me back. And last year you asked me to talk about kids in the middle. And then when I went to all my committee meetings, I kept talking about that because that's what came out, not only from here, but from the 50 pages of feedback that we got from our community, including the students. But there's another piece, this community wellness piece. I hope you invite me back and I can talk about that next year. And I've been ending every presentation. It can wait. This is real, that the statistics are alarming and frightening. So I'm sorry if that was too long. But that's update. That's not everything we're doing, but thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. And do we have any questions from the committee?
Sure. I guess I'll start and then go down the line, I guess. You mentioned the special ed portion of the curriculum and the education and the focus. Do you see that continuing, expanding, or falling or declining?
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't decline. I mean, we're really working hard at it. We have, without question, in my opinion, and I'm clearly pretty biased, but Dr. David Lee, who's just a charismatic and just, in my opinion, brilliant leader, who's the director of special education. And we were one of the only schools in New Jersey that met those special education targets last year. The year before, you have to meet those to become a reward school. There was not one high school in New Jersey outside of the academies, which I kind of don't count. Maybe I should. But there's not one high school in New Jersey that met those targets. Not one. So now that may, I'm sure a lot of schools were, now we didn't either, by the way, but that was 2 years ago, but last year we did. So I don't know the other schools that met those yet, and that'll come out in the spring performance report. But we're very proud of that. We came up with, we feel like we've devoted some federal grant money to assist in the tutoring and identifying. We're using data a lot more to identify these students, identify their strengths and areas of growth, and then providing the support. So I would love to see a much greater community to an enriching club culture and camp culture, and that's to benefit all students. I think you have to give students a reason to come to school, you know, and give them a pathway for success. If they don't see that, they're not going to succeed. So we're trying to put all this together.
Thank you.
Sam, do you have any questions?
No, excellent presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mary Beth.
First of all, thank you for your obvious efforts on behalf of our children. I'm impressed with the progress you've made in a short time. And I'm really thankful that you heard what was said about the average child, because this is my fourth child going through the high school, and the average child was a second thought. And I'm really, really happy to see that you took what we said to heart. And summer coding, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. They
actually learned to write code. Have the kids written anything that you've used? We've been able to integrate into your...
Well, we have one student who wrote an app that I guess gets accepted by iTunes, and I don't want to embarrass anybody in the crowd here. But yeah, they're again, we're starting to create that culture where, and one of the things we're looking at, NJIT has some competitions, and we want to create some competition between the schools, and just an innovative culture. We're trying to innovate and make innovation as prized as hitting that three-pointer when the buzzer goes off, or scoring the touchdown. That innovation is as prized as any other attribute. So, I mean, that's the concept.
Thank you very much.
Rob.
Just really, I want to thank you for first addressing the safety issues, and I think it kind of ties into your presentation with the technology changing as fast as it is. We can always learn some lessons, and probably learn some lessons today, and I'm sure we'll do better. I also would comment that, school seems poised for greatness, and we've certainly seen great results in Mendham Township in the K through 8, because we've got, a supportive board, committed superintendent, great teachers, and the community that's behind the school, and hopefully you get that, and the piece parts are really coming together quite nicely, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. We have everything we need to be a leading school district in the nation. We have everything we need in terms of community and students and parents and resources. It's not a perfect world. We have our administrative team is so engaged and eager to do great things. We've got all the right tools, but we've got to continue. We've got to keep a partnership going. Yeah, thanks.
Well, speaking personally, I mean, I'm a bit removed from this because my one daughter who went to the high school, it's a number of years now, but I can tell you I'm excited by what I see, and I'm encouraged by it, and I like your passion. And as Mary Beth says, I like the fact that you're not just focused on the kids who are naturals, you're focused on the kids who have to, frankly, work at it to get there. And I think that's a great thing to make sure that all the children are being served, not just one particular group, because it's easy to love the ones who are just natural stars. Right. Sometimes it's a little harder to bring it out, and as a parent, you realize that too.
Sure.
So, may I ask you, would you mind taking just any questions or comments we have from the floor? Because I'd like to open it up to the town, and if anybody would care to come forward and identify themselves, you have a question from the superintendent, I'd like to give you that opportunity. Good evening.
Thank you for coming tonight, and I just have a few questions. You know, we have an important election and on Tuesday, and I think it's very hard in small towns like ours to actually disseminate accurate information. So I just have a few questions, if you don't mind. First of all, you mentioned a federal grant that we are in competition for. How much, did you say how much the grant was? Did I miss that?
I didn't. It's $550,000.
$550,000.
Right. So we're one of a small group, over close to 600 applied, and we're a small percentage that was included as a finalist. And again, we're waiting.
Wow,
So-
okay, great. And so you'll budget that in if we actually,
Yes, we will.
okay, that's a good thing.
I haven't budgeted in yet, so.
Sure, of course not, of course not. And, you know, recently you have, it has been said that you were very aggressive in this curriculum, which was redone so very quickly. And I know we were late on that, having been on the Curriculum Advisory Board. I know it languished for a while, but it has been said that you actually did not have it written before you got the vote to approve it. You know, you forced a vote by the board. Can you just respond to that? Was it in fact written? Did you have the curriculum done before you had the board vote on it?
Sure. First of all, I'm not strong enough to force a vote on anything, but
You're reading.
so of course that we devoted from the very first day of school in 2012, 2013. That was our singular focus was on developing that, and right through from that first day through October, through December, every single department meeting, professional development opportunity, we focused on it. We created a new, well, we are using a new digital platform, and absolutely all of it finished within that time frame, absolutely. But it continues. It's not a one and done thing. We continue to keep improving on it and looking at it constantly. So
Great.
absolutely.
So you in fact did finish it, and so that isn't true what we're hearing. Okay.
Absolutely finished.
And now that IB is part of the kind of the DOE, Department of Education's view of life for schools, are we going to be seeing that in the report card? And is that then going to be translated to the New Jersey Monthly Magazine, which seems to be very important to some of our residents here?
So I was told by the chief academic officer that it will be part of the New Jersey Performance Report card this spring, which will give us, the community, a much greater clarity in the percentage of students who are achieving at that college level. I would think, now I've had conversations with New Jersey Monthly. There are other media rankings out there that use both IB and AP as part of their metric. New Jersey Monthly does not, but we've had communications with them, and they have a very fair position. Their position is, look, we're not using anything that's not in the New Jersey report card, because then every school is going to say, well, what about this, what about that? That's a very fair position. But now that this will be part of the New Jersey Performance Report, what used to be called the New Jersey report card, there's no reason for them not to use it. It's right there. And so I think it's only a matter of time before New Jersey Monthly catches up with West Morris Regional School
And
District.
of course, then that's got to be normalized, I think, because we're only one of how many?
15.
15 IB schools?
Right.
Okay. All right, so as far as the, you know, it's been said a lot, and I've heard it a lot, that our academic for the school has slid from number 4 in the state to number 45. How do you address parents that are worried about that hear that?
So you can draw a direct line from that year, whenever that was, 2002, I don't know, and the growth of the IB program and the reverse trend in New Jersey Monthly in terms of ranking, because more and more students are opting to take the IB test, not the AP test. And New Jersey Monthly actually has 2 different categories where they consider AP and not IB. For example, Mendham, if you look at the last one, it says we offer 19 AP courses, which we do. Actually, that's more now, but the last time they had it. But we offer, so a school like Kinnelon, which is number 5, they offer 21, and some other schools are offering 24, 25 AP classes. But Mendham High School offers 25 IB classes. That's not counted in that metric. If you combine the two, you're looking at 28, 29 different types of opportunities for kids. So that plus the AP as well. How many students are passing the AP, taking AP or passing it? Well, at Mendham, really, if you look at the data, and it's all on our report that's on the website, 30% of the students who take IB don't take an AP class. That means 30% of the students are not represented. 30% of the highest performing students at Mendham High School are not represented in those rankings. So that's a lot. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, 32% is a lot. That was the amount that our AP went up. So it's not represented. I don't try to make a big deal out of rankings, but we need to be really, I keep using the phrase, connoisseurs of information and understand the different. And I do have a lot of that stuff out there online if people really want to look at it.
And just one last comment. I like Rick, I'm kind of removed from this too now. But if there's a way that you can tap into the community or we can support the students' efforts in our school, will there be a way that you'll be reaching out to even old people like me who don't have kids in the school anymore, so that we can lend whatever skills, talent, time that we have? Because I really do think our kids are the best asset, and you're doing so very much. I would hate, the brain power in these towns is amazing, and I'd like that to be tapped like you did last year.
So what I think that one of the strongest pieces to our application for this grant that we sent to the state is we showed them how we used everybody from the community in this whole process. And people on our evaluation teams, we partnered with Glow Points, people from Washington Township who saw what we were doing, residents from Chester who work for Google, who want to be a part of it, residents from Mendham who have long ties to the community, who are brilliant in all these different categories, and we've reached out to them. Well, actually, I take that back. We've presented the idea. They reached out to us wanting to engage, and we've used, and this creation of this 9th grade class, this is from a student who graduated Mendham High School, I think in 1996, wrote a book on existing in a digital world, and is traveling the country teaching this stuff about how students should act in a digital environment and outside of it. Well, we've connected with her to write the curriculum. Right. So what the state was, the federal government was very impressed with was how we really grabbed everybody from our community as we could to try to create a vision.
Excellent, and please continue to do so.
Try.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public have a question for the superintendent? Seeing none. Mackey, thank you so much. It was a great presentation, and we appreciate the fact that you're willing to come back and continue to educate us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.